Hey guys, it's Jan here. As always, Game of Thrones kept up its insane kill rate in Season 5. Well, you know, all men must die. Okay, not all of them, but a hell of a lot of them, and a good deal of women too. So in this video, I'm going to run through my 5 most memorable deaths from this season. But just before I get started, I've got a great giveaway to celebrate the 10th anniversary of our friends at Genki Gear. To mark the occasion, they've designed 10 cool new t-shirts, including the one I'm wearing, and you can win one of them. All you need to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video about a Season 5 death. Okay, let's count down the top 5 deaths in Season 5. The fact he's still alive in the books and even has a point of view chapter in Winds of Winter didn't save Sir Barristan Selmy from getting the chop this season. Then again, showrunners Benioff and Weiss did send a pretty clear message to A Song of Ice and Fire readers in Season 5 when Celis told Shireen, "You have no idea what people will do. All your books and you still don't know." Still, we should have known Sir Barristan was as good as gone when he started reminiscing about the good old days, waxing lyrical about the musical exploits of Dany's brother Rhaegar Targaryen, and then Dany told him to go sing a song for me, after which the show cut to his Darzo Lorak saying, "All men must die, but not all can die in glory." At least Ian McElhenney, who played Sir Barristan, got his wish for Selmy to go out fighting, taking out a slew of Sons of the Harpy before being fatally wounded. Hardhome introduced us to a cool new character in the form of female wildling Khaleesi before rudely ripping her away in typical Game of Thrones style. Yes, after some cracking lines and some kick-ass action, it was time for Khaleesi to join the Great Ice Army. Earlier we'd seen her send off her young daughters on a Night's Watch boat with the words, "I'm right behind you, I promise." So it was all too horrifyingly fitting that after she fought off so many eerie attackers, she was felled by 6 child wights. Even though they were basically undead killing machines, Khaleesi could not bring herself to use her weapons against those mini wights. But not to worry, thanks to the Night's King, wildling Khaleesi's now white Khaleesi. Why do I get the feeling that this is all going to end horribly? Arya was finally able to cross Kingsguard Meryn Trant off her hit list this season, in a scene that felt like it was straight out of a horror movie. Obviously that's not what Cersei intended when she sent him off to Braavos with Mace Tyrell. But not only did Trant kill our favourite swordmaster Syrio Forel, but he also turned out to be a child beater and paedophile. I suppose we could have guessed, as he certainly didn't have any qualms about assaulting Sansa when Joffrey told him to. Still, that was one hell of a brutal kill by Arya, stabbing him in the eyes and then repeatedly in the chest, stomach and back, and then finishing him off with a slit to the throat, which made me think of how her mother Catelyn killed Walder Frey's wife and was then killed herself at the Red Wedding. And I don't think it's any coincidence that that Season 3 episode and the Season 5 finale were both directed by David Nutter. Oh no, Jon Snow. Maybe Ygritte was right when she said you know nothing. Well, you weren't much of a public speaker anyway, otherwise you'd have been able to communicate just how freaking crucial it was to get the wildlings on side in the fight against the White Walkers. Actually, come to think of it, it's a shame Jon didn't have a mobile phone and a selfie stick during Hardhome. Then he could have snapped a pic or taken a vine of himself making a big frowny face with 2 thumbs down, with the Night's King and the marauding Whites in the background. Maybe that would have convinced the Night's Watch that he was right all along. Still, it was not to be. Instead, those stabby McDaggers at the wall knifed Jon repeatedly for the Watch, leaving our favourite bastard bleeding to death in the snow. And whose betrayal hurt Jon the most? Yes, that potato boy turned Ygritte killer, Ollie. Those men in black are certainly going to wish they hadn't been quite so hasty with their daggers if the Night's King comes knocking at their gate. But hold on, is Jon Snow really dead? If you want to know my theories on that, check out this video for my Season 6 predictions for Jon Snow and the Night's Watch. The award for most heartbreaking death this season has to go to Shireen Baratheon. Even though the fact her character was built up this season meant we knew in our heart of hearts that something terrible was in store for her, the whole build-up to her burning was just shattering. The touching talk between her and Davos, and then that conversation with her father in which she was so eager to help him. Add to that the look on Shireen's face when she saw Melisandre and the pole she was about to be tied to, and finally realised what was happening. Kerry Ingram gave an incredible performance as Shireen. Her cries for her father and mother, followed by her screams, were just chilling. And when her mother, Celit, who's never been Team Shireen, tried to stop her daughter's sacrifice, while Stannis stood by and let his baby girl burn, that was another supremely powerful moment. As I've said before, what is the world coming to when Roose Bolton could actually now beat Stannis Baratheon in a Father of the Year contest? Okay, just in case Jon Snow somehow isn't dead, I'm going to include a bonus death on this list. In the first episode of the season, when the king beyond the wall, Mance Rayder, refused to kneel to the one true king, Stannis Baratheon, Melisandre turned the former Night's Watchman into a human torch. But that was not the end of that. Wildling lover Jon Snow couldn't bear to watch Mance go up in flames, so he put him out of his misery with an arrow to the chest. Oh, and there was something in the way the camera moved during Jon's shooting of Mance that made me think back to season 4 when Ollie shot Ygritte. So what do you think were the most memorable deaths in season 5? Let me know in the comments below. Honourable mentions go to Mossador, the Lord of Bones, Janos Slynt, the Daznak's pit fighters, and all those roasted alive and torn apart by Drogon before he set off on his never-ending story with Dany. By the way, if you haven't seen it before, click here for a cool video I made with the Game of Thrones cast telling me how they'd like their characters to die on the show. And remember, for a chance to win one of Genki Gear's new t-shirts, just leave a comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time, and remember, if you're not watching Jan G on GOT, you know nothing.